such an important guest who brings so much business to the Tipton Hotel.
Wow, you got the tip just right.
Don't touch that.
Sorry.
What is going on? If it's not one thing, it's Mama! Oh.
Get out of there before Lord Bud Mosby sees you.
Can I put this? Bird dog, this is Lard Butt. You do anything to disrupt this wedding, and it will be the last song your mother ever sings at the Tipton. Over, and you're almost out. He didn't show. I was so looking forward to show. He promised. I got a band.
And it's a very pretty band, too. I mean, we can't get upset every time he can't make it when he promises to.
I'm upset.
Come on. Give us a smile.
No.
Come on, just a little smile. Come.
So this is what we're going to do this time. And I saw Phill already. I told him we're going to let him in a minute.
Okay.
Usually I have the guests first, but this time we have us. So it's exciting that he's going to
Oh, man.
Yay!
Lewis is going to be here. Phill Lewis in the house.
Mr. Mosby! Yeah!
Let him in. I mean, we know Phill Lewis is one of the nicest people. I mean, I'm just going to let him in. We know the actor, the director, the wonderful Phill Lewis. Phill Lewis.
Hey.
Hi, how are you, folks?
Really good! You're my favorite!
Oh, you're very kind. Thank you. I'm good.
You fan
Oh, I so appreciate that.
so appreciate that.
I love Sweet Life of Zach and Cody and
Me
Sweet Life
too.
of Zach, by the way, and the
Me
Wayans.
too.
Oh,
yeah.
Wayans brothers.
And my two favorites
Mr.
is
Mosby.
Scrubs and Friends. Can I
Whoa,
be
you
the
guys,
butler?
you must have done some research.
Having come with you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is fantastic.
You know,
Thank you so much.
It's such an honor.
I'm going to do a little mute here because I hear some echoes here just on a few people.
Yeah, I hear the echo.
Well,
Yeah, I do too.
We will get this working out here. Phill, I have to say that you are one of the nicest people in Hollywood. I mean, from the first time I met you, you have this smile that is like amazing. And then your soul is connected to that smile. So it's like, thank you.
Well, thank you. I so appreciate it. And I must say, David, I appreciate everything you've done. This is a mutual admiration society. I appreciate everything that you have done. And when, to a little backstory, when David and I first met, we met at a birthday party, and he started telling me about what he does and what he has done in his illustrious career. And I had mentioned that one of my daughters works in different organizations and works with young kids, and she's 19. She's a young kid herself. But, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is that we're a family, hopefully, of givers. And David and I were kind of kindred spirits because he's also obviously a giver. And he has kept me in the loop on everything that you guys are doing. I was able to see the Christmas show, which was so much fun. And it was so great to just sit and watch. But I must tell you, I brought my daughter and one of her friends from out of town, and we just laughed and laughed and laughed. After the show, we went out to dinner and we were talking about all of the great things that happened. So we were so excited to be a part of it, and I'm glad that David has brought me into this family and community. So thank you, David, for all that you're doing.
Thank you. I mean, it was, and so many people mentioned too, oh my God, Phill Lewis was out there. Like Donovan and BJ. And I had a couple of questions, and what I'm going to do is go around. Also, everybody has questions. So,
Great.
I might throw out a question, then we'll get Jennifer or Ashley or when did you know you wanted to be in the entertainment industry?
Well, I started at a very young age. I was actually 10 years old when I did my first professional job. So a little backstory is that I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I was always doing school plays. I did school plays and school musicals, and I was very fortunate to go to a school where they really valued the arts, and they really valued kids getting into the arts, or just using it as a way to express ourselves. Because we sit in classrooms, we go to school, we do our work, we want to get the best education that we possibly can, or now we are homeschooled, or some of you may have been homeschooled anyway. We want to get the best education we possibly can, but what is that fulfillment outside of education? Part of it, some of it can be education, of course, but what is that fulfillment that is fulfills the creative side? So I was very fortunate that the creative side was what spoke to me. So at 10 years old, I auditioned for a show, and I ended up I was an understudy for one of the characters in the show, and the show was at Ford's Theater, and we could do a Q&A if anybody knows what happened at Ford's Theater. If you do, you can raise your hand, or you can tell David or me later. But Ford's Theater is a very historic theater in Washington, D.C., and that was where I did my first production. So to answer your question, I knew and once I got on that stage, it felt, I know this sounds like a cliche, but it really felt like home. I felt like I was in my element. I felt like I could express myself, and I was having so much fun, which is probably the biggest part of it, because I was a 10-year-old kid. What do we want to do? We want to have fun.
Right.
So I was having so much fun while I was there that I knew, honestly, at that moment that this is something that I wanted to pursue for the rest of my life. So, and I'm a little bit older than 10 years old now, but not much. Don't let the gray hair fool you.
No. I mean, I think you look like 11 or 12 right now.
Thank you. So that's how I got my start.
Oh, I love it. Let's see. Let's go to Ranjani next. I'm going to ask to unmute you for a question.
Okay, I'm the biggest fan of your work, of the twins you've been working with. So what is your favorite, funniest moment on the Sweet Love on Deck or Sweet Love and Cody with the twins?
Oh my word. I'm going to tell you this to start off. So we did 187 episodes of both shows. So we did about half of each. So it was, a lot of episodes of Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, and a lot of episodes of Sweet Life on Deck. And it was really amazing because I started with those guys when they were 11 years old. So about, like I said, the age that I was starting my career way back when, they were the same age. However, they had worked quite a bit because they had done a movie called Big Daddy with Adam Sandler. They were also on Friends. Actually, correct. I think it was just Cole who was on Friends. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think Dylan was ever on Friends. I think, but a lot of times, as you guys may or may not know, when there are twins working in the business, they'll use twins as one character, and if they're identical, they'll swap them out. So maybe Cole will work Monday, Wednesday, Friday on a movie, and Dylan will play that same character on Tuesday and Thursday. So they swap them out. So Sweet Life of Zach and Cody was the first time they had acted together as brothers on screen. Yeah.
Wow.
So one of the fun, because they really are identical, and now you can certainly see the differences as they've gotten older, but when we first started, they're completely identical.
Mhm.
So I knew, and at one point they were dressing exactly the same. So I knew I had said, I got there in the morning, got to the studio, got my script, and started walking towards Dylan. And I said, "Good morning, Dylan." And he said, "Good morning." And then I went and I got some coffee, and I saw Cole, and I said, "Good morning, Cole." And he looked at me and he said, "I'm Dylan." And I went, "Wait a second. Didn't I just see Dylan in the hallway?" "No, I don't think you did." So then I went back into the hallway, and who's standing in the hallway? And I said, "Hey, Dylan, didn't I just see you by the coffee?" And he said, "No, I'm Cole." They were playing a joke on me. They would move, they would switch themselves, and they would run from one place to the next, and they would make themselves the other person. And sometimes they would just say, "No, I'm Cole," but they were really Dylan.
Your
So it
funniest moments of your favorite scenes make me you start laughing. So what's your
So-
favorite funny ones?
So some of the funniest moments that I had on the show, one was, if you remember when we went to the baseball game,
Oh yeah, I
and we
remember
were
that.
out in the stands in the baseball game. That was so much fun to shoot because I got to catch a baseball in the stands.
And definitely
and-
the ballerina moves.
yeah, that's right. I did the ballerina stretching. You know, they said
Yeah.
it was time for the 7th inning stretch, and I started stretching. So those were really fun to do. But a lot of the fun stuff was doing things that you don't normally get to do. So, you know, I love baseball, so I get to go to a lot of baseball games, but there's some things that I certainly never get to do. Like one that we had on Sweet Life on Deck, we
Oh,
had
yeah.
100 snakes. Remember snakes on a boat?
Oh,
Where
yeah, I
all the
remember.
snakes came onto the boat.
Yeah.
So we had somebody bring in 100 snakes, and we had to use them in different scenes. And then one of the snakes crawled through my legs.
Oh,
And I had a little garden snake that popped out of my lapel. Like, so those were, and then at the end of that episode, Cole had the big python wrapped around him. At the end of that episode, yeah. So we had a lot of fun on that show. We had a great time, and then we had a lot of fun off the set too. We would spend
good.
some holidays together. They would come over and hang out with us. So it was such a great time. We had so much. In fact, while we're here, let's see what I have.
I know my favorite girl from Sweet on Deck is Lon Tipton. I love
Is
her.
London. Isn't
love
she the
her.
best?
I love her.
Look, can you see that?
Mr. Mosby. I love it.
It's one of my name tags. I have my name. Oh, and look, and I also have from Sweet Life, from Zach and Cody. This was the bell at the front
A
desk.
bell.
Isn't that great?
I love it.
Well, and you were Mr. Mosby in the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. That's so great. The Sweet Life on Deck, which, I mean, Hannah Montana.
And definitely Jesse.
That's right. So what David's bringing up is what we called crossover episodes. So what we would do, so we were on the Disney Channel, and of course there was Wizards of Waverly Place, there was Hannah Montana, there was Jesse, there was That's So Raven, but even before Jesse, we would do what they call crossover episodes.
But even before Jesse.
Oh, sorry, it was me. That was me talking.
I know, it was a little echo.
So what we would do is our characters would go on to different shows, and I think one of them was called, my daughters always remember it, That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana, I think, and I think that was That's So Raven, Sweet Life, and Hannah Montana, all of us together.
Wow.
And those were so much fun. So my character kind of was able to move throughout in different shows. So it was just a really great time, and it's so nice that you guys watched it and so many other people watched it, because it really does warm my heart when people recognize me from the show. So
When does Sweet Life going to come back together again? I miss that.
I miss it too. I would love that to happen. The Dylan and Cole are off doing. Of course, Cole is on Riverdale now, and Dylan is doing some movies for Netflix, And then Brenda, who plays London, she also did a movie for Netflix. They're all really busy. And then, of course, Debbie Ryan just got married, and she wants to start a family. So it would be kind of hard to get us all together. But I will, when I do talk to them, I will let them know that I have seen all of you guys, and that you guys are very important to our fan base. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So hey, what about BJ? Let's see, BJ. What questions do you have today?
Hello, thank you, David, and Mr. Phill Lewis. I am such a huge fan of you because I have watched all of your show since I was a kid. Like, you are so funny, and like you played the best character in the hotel. And I want to ask you a question, like,
Sure.
like for at the end of the show, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and then when Disney started making The Sweet Life on Deck, how was it like when you and Dylan and Cole was back together? Like, how did it make you feel like that y'all was back together and make another show together?
Oh, that's a great question. And we were so excited to do the other show. I mean, really, I kid you not. We had about, I think, 3 or 4 months between the end of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and the beginning of Sweet Life on Deck. So we weren't sure what was going to happen. We knew that Disney Channel wanted to do what they call a spinoff. They wanted to do another show with Dylan and Cole, and they wanted Dylan and Cole and my character, Mr. Mosby, and they wanted London. So how are we going to get them all together in a different venue? And they came up with quote unquote semester at sea. Of course, 3 years is a little longer than a semester, but we called it a semester at sea. So the good news was that we all kept in touch throughout that time. We would still hang out. We would, go out and try and get dinner every now and again. We took Brenda to the Hollywood Bowl to see a show. So we would all kind of hang out. So it was good. It wasn't like we hadn't seen each other in that time, but the reunion was fantastic because we hadn't all been together since we ended Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. So funny story, the executive producer called me and he said, so we've written the first episode of Sweet Life on Deck, and he said, I want to tell you what happens. And I said, okay, great. So he says, so you're running the ship, and you're very excited because London's going to be on the ship, and it's Mr. Tipton's ship, and you're very excited. There's not a care in the world. And then the next thing you know, you turn around, and there are the twins. And he says, and then you're so upset that you immediately jump off the boat, right? And so I said, well, that sounds really fun. But as an actor who wants to do multiple episodes, I said to him, do I get back on the boat? I said, I'm not just swimming away, am I?
Right.
He said, no, of course, you're back on the boat and you have to run the ship with these two, as they say, as I used to say, two hooligans running around my hotel or running around my sky deck.
Yeah.
So it was so much fun to do. And that's another thing, going off of what Ranjani, what we were talking about, that we had a lot of stunts and a lot of things. So when I jumped off the ship, then if you remember, they picked me up in a life vest and they lift me out of the water above and they land. So they had to put a harness on me and they had to do a whole rig to get me off back on the boat. So, but it was so much fun. We knew we wanted to do a spinoff, but we weren't sure how they were going to make it happen, but they did. And I think they did it pretty successfully.
Nice. Amazing. And one more question.
Sure.
I know that I remember that that you also played on the movie with Beverly Hills with the Chihuahua dogs.
Yeah.
And I was so surprised of seeing you as the judge when you played as when you were playing the judge for the dogs, and your character is still just like Mr. Mosby. And
Right.
also, how was it? How was it when you're in the crew with George Lopez too? That plays the scene as a dog.
Yes. So what's interesting when you do either voiceovers or cartoons, things that are animated, or when you're working with animals, what happens is they will have somebody who's on set who will read those characters' voices, and then the actors that are actually doing the voices. So, for example, George doing the voices, they're recording in a studio. So I didn't work with them directly on set. I've met George Lopez a couple of times. He's a really, really nice guy. In fact, my oldest daughter and his, I think he has more than one daughter, but at least his oldest daughter were in school together. She's about a year older than my oldest daughter. So I had known George for quite a while. But so I didn't get a chance to work with him directly, but I'm such a huge fan. And that's a movie where they said, we kind of want kind of a Mr. Mosby character. Would you be willing to do that? And I was like, of course. So, hopefully that answers your question. It was so much fun.
Well, I have a question in the sense of, do you prefer acting or directing?
Ooh, that is a very good question. It's hard. It's kind of like apples and oranges. Now, I was directing a show last night. By the way, have you guys seen well, I'll ask anyway. It may be a little too old for you guys. There's a movie called Night School with Kevin Hart.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That movie? Okay, well, I just finished shooting the pilot TV show. They're taking that movie and making it into a TV show. Fingers crossed. Hopefully they'll actually make it. But we shot the pilot last night, as a matter of fact. So it doesn't star Kevin Hart, although Kevin Hart did come to the set. I was so excited. Come on, it was Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart did come to the set, and I was directing the episode. And so we did what's called a pilot. If you guys don't know, a pilot is the prototype, the first episode of a show, and then they test it, they show it to people, they say, do you like this or don't you like this? And then if a lot of people say we love it, they go, okay, let's shoot more episodes. So I say all that to say I was talking with another writer who was an actor, and we both looked at each other and said, man, wouldn't it be great to be back in front of the camera again? So, I have moments where I just love, and I do get in front of the camera every now and again, or I do get on stage every now and again, but there are moments where I just really love that creative energy of being on stage, working with actors as an actor, but my creative energies are fulfilled as a director. So, it's kind of apples and oranges. Being a director is a lot harder because you have to kind of oversee everything. As an actor, you're just, you're responsible for your character and working with those other actors. But as a director, you're kind of, your head's kind of swimming because you're kind of overseeing everything. But, as long as I'm happy, I'm healthy and I'm working, I'll take either side of the camera.
Well, I have to say we have somebody who you directed in an episode who also interviewed you, Miss Santina Muha.
Santina?